Okay, people, today we are on my Super 73R and we're gonna go for a ride and we're gonna talk about some stuff. We are going to talk about different types of bikes for different types of people. I think there's so many electric bike types today, and I'm not just talking about mountain bike versus e-moto versus folding versus, you know, etc, etc. I'm talking about different size bikes, bikes with different range, different price ranges, etc, etc. There's just so many options today that I think there's a bike for just about everybody. And having now ridden 42 electric bikes, I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of bikes, different types of age ranges, different types of scenarios, different types of people. And we're going to keep in mind that, you know, I'm going to try to cover everybody. So first, let's talk about kids. I've seen kids as young as 5 years old, 6 years old, up to like 8 or 9, riding the really cheap electric bikes, which I'm not a big fan of. I think they should be getting electric exercise, but you know, we're talking about like the Jetson Bolt. That's the $350 to $500 bike at Costco. There's a similar bike called the Jupiter. That's about $500, also at Costco, very similar looking. Ancheer, A-N-C-H-E-E-R, has a bike that's very similar as well. You've got the bikes from Swagtron that are the Swagtron EB5, the Swagtron EB7, EB7 Plus. They're all in the $500 to $700 range. And if you got a kid and, you know, he wants to get to school and it's like, you know, 3 to 5 miles away and there's a hill and he's old enough to not take the bus and you want him to ride to school, maybe with some friends, that might be an option, you know. I saw a couple boys, one was riding like a BMX bike, you know, just a manual bike, and his buddy had, you know, the Jetson Bolt, and they were riding around, and I don't know, it just seemed like something the kids shouldn't have been doing because he should be getting some exercise. But needless to say, I mean, it's an inexpensive bike relatively, and you know, it's not ultra powerful, but it gives the kid the ability to go a little further than he might want to ordinarily, go to school, go up a hill, etc. Now let's talk about, so I'm gonna say that bike, those bikes are really for like the, when I say 5, it's like, you know, you gotta be like a pretty agile 5-year-old or pretty advanced, you know, cycling 5-year-old. But let's say 5 to like 12, right? As you get up into like the 13, 14-year-olds, you know, these are kids that, you know, should be getting exercise. They need a little bit bigger bike. The perfect bike for them would be something like a Rad Mission. It's a small mountain bike that has one gear. It's bigger than just, you know, like the type of bikes I was just talking about, but it's not as big as like a full-fledged mountain bike. But it's the style of a mountain bike. It's only like $1,200. You know, that's decent. I mean, I know that's a lot of money for some people, but in the range of mountain bike, in the range of electric bike, that's pretty cheap. And you know, if you're a 12 to 14 to 15-year-old, that might be a good bike for you. Definitely get some exercise with it. Definitely gives you a little bit of extra range. If you're going to school, if you're going to see your friends after school, you know, this is all before you can drive. That might be a good bike for you. You know, these are bikes that have maybe 500 watt rear hub, 12 amp hour, 48 volt. You might get like 18 to 20 miles range. You know, that may be perfect for you. And there's similar bikes, like Unirao has one, etc. So that's like up to, let's say, 15, 16. When you're talking to like 17, 18, 19, and you're, you know, you're somewhat skilled at riding, right? You probably want something, if you're, you know, especially if you're like a rough and tumble type kid, right? Or a tomboy girl. You're gonna want you know, something with a little bit more meat behind it, a little more power. Maybe do a little BMXing, you know, some off-roading. And that's where, you know, you kind of, if you have the money, maybe you got a job at this point, or your parents are, you know, they've got some money and they want to get you something really nice, or maybe you split it. That's where you start getting into things like the Segway X160. Has like a 3,000 watt mid drive. That's where you get into, and that goes like 30 miles an hour. If you have the money and the inkling and the you know the skill level for it, that's where maybe the Sur-Ron, you know, it's like $4,000. It's got, you know, like a 3,000 or 4,000 watt mid drive, 60 volt battery. You know, you're gonna go up to like 45 miles an hour. You're gonna have tremendous off-road capabilities, etc. Or you know, if you're that age and you want something, you know, a little bit more versatile, you might be looking at something like, you know, Rad power bikes or juiced bikes, like the Hyper Scrambler, the Scrambler, the Scorpion, the Rad power bikes, the Rad Mini, the Rad Runner. If you want something a little bit more utility, where you can carry stuff, carry a bag, go to the gym, etc. Or you know, those are some of the kind of bikes. Or the Himaways, right? They're like in the, you know, the mid to late, you know, 1500 to 1800 range. Those might be the bikes you're looking for, you know, if you're not as aggressive and you just want something that's more of like a commuter or something, right? What else? Let's see what else. Now we're looking at like the low 20s, 20 to 25. That's where you're probably, if you're, you know, an aggressive off-roader, you're probably going to be definitely looking at like the Segway X260 or the Sur-Ron. If you've got some money and again you're, you know, you're really aggressive off-road, you might even be looking at like the Cab Motorworks, the Falcon, the Eagle, the Recon. Might be looking at like the Stealth Bombers. You know, those are a little bit expensive, 10,000, but you know, they give you kind of the power, the range, and the off-road capability that you're looking for. So those are some of the bikes that you're probably looking at in that range. If you're looking at like, you know, commuting, maybe you're a professional, might be looking at like the Reese and Mullers, the Turns, TERNs, the Gazelles. Those are some high-end commuter bikes, you know, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, but they're really high-end, they're really nice, they're really classy looking, they have some good power, some good pedal assist, really high-end components. This is if you've got, you know, a few bucks, right? Those latter bikes I was just talking about, I would extend upwards into the, you know, the upper 20s and the low 30s, you know, kind of a yuppie bike, but you know, really classy. If you're a if you're into kind of the chopper look and feel, you know, you're less of a professional, you're more of, you know, blue collar type guy, and you know, want to look cool riding around, they're the Wicked Thumb bikes. They're chopper looking. Plum has some as well. They have like a low seat and high handlebars, and there's like a big slope from the handlebars down to the seat, and it just looks really slick, you know. Those are bikes that have, you know, 500 to 750 watt, probably rear hub, not terribly expensive, 2,000 to 3,000 range, and you know, those are fun, fat tire, they're really cool for cruising, they look cool. You know, that might be what you're looking for. If let's say you're a woman, 35 range, again, you know, the Turns, the Gazelles, the Reese and Mullers, the Himaways, you know, a lot of those bikes, you know, could serve your purposes in a lot of ways, but so could a bike like, let's come back to the Rad Runner. That's the utility bike. It's got a scoop step through, and you know, it has a rack on the back for people to, you know, you can actually carry a kid or two. You can carry, you know, some stuff to the park with the kids, as well as the Rad Wagon. That's a bike that's a little more power, a little bit nicer. It's close to 2,000. It's like 1900. It actually has room for 2 seats on the back, and it's got a rack. 2 seats for kids. It's got a rack. It's got a basket. You know, it's just, and it's got some power, and it's got different gears, so you can go up any kind of hill. It's got some range. It's got some power, and it's got all kinds of carrying capabilities for kids, for gear to the beach. You can bring your sand toys and all that. You know, all kinds of stuff. So those might be like more family bikes, right? Then you get into, you know, the high 30s, 40s, maybe men that are gonna have like a midlife crisis, right? And they want something just all kinds of badass. There are various options, you know, like, you know, to get your jollies. You know, you got, again, the Surons, again, the Cab, Motorworks, Eagle, the Recon. They're like upwards of 7,000 to 10,000, but all kinds of power, all kinds of range, all kinds of off-road capabilities. They're like Cadillacs, you know, stealth bombers, etc. But then you've also got the three-wheeled bikes. And I'm not talking about two in the back and one in the front, two wheels in the back, one in the front. I'm talking about two wheels in the front and one in the back. And you know, there's a company called ICE that has really high-end $5,000 to $6,000 ones. Just really nice bikes, suspension, you know, 1,000 watt to 2,000 watt mid-drive, all kinds of range, all kinds of power. They even make quads. Did you know that? They make quads with these big 20-inch tires, 20 by 4-inch tires, 4 tires. You sit on it, and it's got full suspension. It's got gears. It's got a mid-drive. You know, again, a company like ICE, and I'll link to a few others. Those are some options. And then, you know, if you're getting up into like the 50, 60-year-old, it depends on how much agility you have. I'm bordering 50 years old, and I've got some agility, and I've, you know, ridden so many bikes and motorcycles. I've got, you know, I've got the experience and the skill set to be able to handle something a little more powerful. So, again, I've got the Cab Motorworks. But now you're getting into, you know, guys that want stability, want range, want comfort. And so that's where something like, you know, the, what do you call it? The Himaway Cruiser, 26-inch fat by 4 fat tires. It's got front suspension. You know, you may be close to retirement, 50, 60, 70, and you want something that's not that expensive. Himaway Cruiser, 1600. The Rad Rover, similar bike, around the same range, price range. The Aventon Cinch, fat tire folding bike, 1,500 bucks. Really comfortable front suspension, good range. The Aventon Pace, it's more of a mountain bike, kind of a commuting type bike. You know, those are bikes that aren't going to break the bank. You're going to get some good range. They have good quality. You know, I think those bikes might be for you. And then, you know, there's like 90-year-olds that go swimming 10 miles a day, right? So if you're a person that still drives and you've got, you know, all your faculties and you've got, you know, your balance and, you know, all this stuff, and you can handle a bike, you know, you probably want something a little bit lower to the ground, a little bit easier on the wallet. The Rad Mini, which is actually the most powerful, popular bike in America. It's in like the $1,500 range. It's a folding bike. You can put it in a camper. It's got fat tires. It's really comfortable, really versatile. You can go off-road, you can go on-road, you can go on a park, trail, you can go in the dirt, whatever. Now that might be something for somebody in like their 60s, 70s that just wants something really comfortable, easy to ride. They've got the step-through version. So, and then, you know, again, if you're at that retirement age and you don't have a lot of money, another version might be like the electric but without the E, the electric XP. It's like $1,000, and it's 20 by 4-inch tires. It's got probably like a 48 volt 12 amp hour battery. You're gonna get maybe, you know, 18 to 20 miles range depending on how you ride it. It's comfortable because of the fat tires. It's affordable at like $1,000. Again, it's got the step-through version and the higher bar version. Even the higher bar version isn't very high. So that could be something for somebody that's on a real budget. You know, maybe they're on Social Security, you know, they're living on their retirement. They don't want to spend a lot of money. You know, those are all the kinds of bikes that are available today. They're literally like 90 manufacturers. And I know this because I've looked up like every single one of them just because I like to know about all the different bikes available. And there's just so many bikes available, so many manufacturers, so many different types, so many price ranges. You know, so anyway, hopefully that gives you some insight. You know, just trying to pass along some thoughts. You know, I've ridden so many bikes, I've learned so much. I just think it makes sense to kind of help people have an understanding of what's available today. So anyway, appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Give me a comment. I always go back to my commenters, and that'll do it. Thanks for watching. God bless. Peace out.